This is the Universal Wrestling Podcast. Inside the ring, outside the ring, it's all here.
We're talking about the greatest sport of all, professional wrestling.
Now here's your host,
the cream of the crop,
Nick Dieterding.
Come on. Welcome back to the Universal Wrestling Podcast. My name is Nick Dieterding. On this episode, we go one-on-one with WWE Hall of Famer Double J Jeff Jarrett. We talk Road Dogg, TNA, the Owen Hart Cup, and most importantly, Jeff Jarrett shoots on cancer, and you can too. There is a link in the description. Please donate if you can. Enough of me talking. Let's get to the interview. Chris, take it away.
Like, the LLS means a lot to me, Jeff. Like, and when I reached out to you, I didn't even realize you had a connection to it. Do you mind kind of just explaining to us what that is?
Sure. Here in the Middle Tennessee area, I'm really attached to two organizations that are really near and dear to my heart. One being the Salvation Army, and we do a big Red Kettle campaign, basically the second half of the year. But I work with them year round. But the other organization is something that, it takes me back to. They reached out to me, and I was going to be the ambassador for the Middle Tennessee chapter for the Man and Woman of the Year campaign, and it's the largest yearly campaign that's run by each individual chapter. And we went out, my wife Karen, and we went out in Nashville and had the kickoff event. And 24 hours later, the world shut down. So that was right. But anyway, so back-to-back years, I was the ambassador, and I've done a lot of things with the LLS. And you probably say, no, how did you get tied up with that? A little known fact that my father-in-law, Karen's father, if he's not the oldest, he's certainly right up there. He's about to celebrate his 30th anniversary of beating leukemia. He's maybe the longest living bone marrow transplant patient in the country, in the world. But so he had leukemia way back. So it has affected their family, obviously, and he goes to the transplant games. But years ago, when Karen was in school, he went out to Seattle and had the transplant. The donor was Karen's brother. So, I've become familiar with it directly through that. And then obviously getting to meet the great people here in Nashville that are attached to the organization. So, I've done quite a bit of work with LLS and, the research and of course, Roman Reigns, he was on the second event that I did. It was all obviously all online and all streaming, but the strides and the advancements that they have done is all because of awareness. It all starts with that awareness, because without awareness, you can't raise funds. Without raising funds, you can't do research. Without research, you really can't make advancements. So I do anything I possibly can to create awareness. Chris, you know me from my professional life. I play a lot of things, but I don't even play a doctor on TV, much less in real life. So if I can wave the banner and create awareness, I feel like I'm doing my part.
Yeah, and we're going to link to the donation page for this 10-week Visionary of the Year charity drive. And leukemia and lymphoma is in the name, but they have done so much amazing research for all types of blood cancer. I'm doing it for the Los Angeles area this year. Last year, they reached $17 million. And I can't tell you how much of a strong impact this organization made. So if you're listening to this, please, if you can spare $1, $5, whatever, please donate if you can.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about, Chris, we both can relate on how technology has affected any industry you're in. But as far as raising funds, I like to refer to it as the Apple Wallet generation. The ease of it, the comfort, I guess is, pull your phone out of your pocket. You can get on Snapchat or TikTok and go in those rabbit holes, but you can also go in the rabbit hole of raising funds and donating to a great cause.
Well, it means a lot that you're doing this, and the organization's psyched, and we're both psyched to talk to you. I see the Intercontinental title behind you. And like, growing up, I did not like you because you were such a damn good heel. When I got to meet you at WWE, like every time you were in the office off the road from TV, I loved talking creative with you and Dewey Foley at like late into the night as we waited for Vince meetings. But the Intercontinental title, I associate with you so well. I associate you so much with Razor Ramon. I was wondering if you had a particular match you loved or story you wanted to talk about.
No, it's we literally just covered WrestleMania 11. Conrad, my podcast partner on My World that drops every Tuesday. He pivoted and said, man, we didn't have this planned as a topic, but I just kind of think it's fitting with Scott's passing. What about we talk about WrestleMania 11? And Chris, diving into that whole episode, and we went back to kind of the setup, the Royal Rumble, and you're obviously familiar with how things are set up. But a little bit of a different generation in that, from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. What a luxury this was, Chris. There was no pay-per-view. It was just Royal Rumble, jump into Mania, so you didn't have to squeeze in another pay-per-view 10-pole event out of it. But man, we're getting granular here, as I say on my podcast. But no, we talked on the latest episode of My World about me and Scott. And man, I've got so many memories of Scott, whether it be circulating around that Intercontinental title or just on the road with him, traveling to Germany and the United Kingdom, or small towns in Canada, or the big shows at Boston Garden. And me and Conrad talked about that. That may be kind of we'll call it an Easter egg, a real fun match. Me and Scott had a ladder match in the last event ever of the old Boston Garden. And I can remember, me and Scott saying, now this is pretty cool. Boston Garden's held a lot of wrestling, but to have a ladder match, and that's not that far removed from him and Sean's WrestleMania 10 ladder match. So really cool. Lots and lots of memories of Scott. It's really hard to nail it down to one.
Yeah. And well, we'll link to that episode when we promote this one. One thing that just popped in my head as you were kind of saying that, the difference between back in that era, the one pay-per-view, like no pay-per-views between, Rumble and Mania. I was there at WWE when you came back at the Royal Rumble and then joined the company again after, being away for some time. What was the thing that surprised you the most between, your last time in WWE and coming back? Well,
it's funny, Chris, that my last night in the WWF at the time was against China in Cleveland on a Saturday night. Well, fast forward to, I went to Nitro in Philadelphia for WCW, obviously at that time. And then a little thing happened called taking the company going public. So I came back, the company was a publicly traded company, and just that premise alone, very not, and I don't want to say just corporate, because of course it's corporate, it's grown, it's big, it's got the WWE network and this department, that department, but it was a different landscape in that, very siloed, not to use that term, but it, very, very at times overly structured, that the means of communication at times were just, you've lived it, almost ad nauseum, the lines of communication, but other things, this department wasn't talking to that department. And I caught on to that real quick, that, okay, to really get things done, it's no different than it's ever did. You got to be a people person and connect some departments. I saw that almost immediately.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people come out, and obviously it's sad anytime people lose their job. There have been a lot of layoffs at WWE since you and I both left. And I think part of that, obviously, again, it's a publicly traded company, and you got a stock call once a quarter. I think part of that is just like, there were just so many people. I think adding a streamline to the company was part of that mission.
and I totally get that from, never run an organization the size of a $1 billion operation like WWE is now, but running organizations, I truly think, to give a very, very super small analogy, but at TNA in the lean and mean years, when it was a very, very much a skeleton crew, it's 3 phone calls and everyone knew. You talk to production, you talk to talent, and then you talk to marketing / those days early social media. Then your bases were covered. It just doesn't operate that way anymore. But it's they're coming off the most profitable year in their history. So hats off. They're doing a lot of things right. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
A lot of things right.
Hey, Jeff, AEW just recently announced the Owen Hart Cup will take place. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I do quite a bit of media, and I've done, 30 promotional pieces in the last couple of weeks, and just about every interview, I say that to say just about every interview I've done, 90+% of them would be a question about the Owen Hart Invitational, which I love, because at the end of the day, no matter who's in it or who's out of it and everything that goes with it, I'm excited to see it as the next person. But Owen's legacy still lives on in so many ways.
Yes.
The Owen Hart Foundation has a brand new set of eyeballs. The Owen Hart in-ring legacy is one thing, but the out of ring, the legacy, the father, the husband, the uncle, the brother, the friend,
Yes,
all of that goes with it is being exposed to a whole new audience. People can choose to click and go find more about his professional career, but at the end of the day, the Owen Hart Foundation is continuing to help people. And that's the spirit that I truly believe is life-changing. And who Owen was when he walked this earth, he was a life-changing guy just in his day-to-day actions.
yes.
So one fun thing I wanted to ask you is, like, have you ever, and this probably isn't fun, how have you ever been in a situation where a guitar you have used or has been used on you has not been gimmicked properly? And can we kind of talk about, like, the importance of how you gimmick a guitar?
Whew, boy, I don't think we got enough time.
All right, we can skip it. We can skip.
No. I mean, look, it's not an exact science. It's just not. And everybody, I've used the same guy for several years now, dating back. Look, different folks can make it, whether I work for independent promotion or whatever it may be. And WWE has their team and their skill set, and TNA had this and that, all this. But at the end of the day, you may get a chuckle out of this, but guitars aren't made like they used to be. And I say that in that years ago, they were predominantly made in America, and they were put together somewhat by hand. Yeah, there were some machines that went to it, carving the wood, all that. But now they're shipped overseas. They're China manufactured. They're pressed. They're glue pressed. And so candidly, they can be super dangerous because it's not, you're not getting the explosion. You're getting a whack across the head that it sometimes is not real forgiving, if that makes sense.
Triple H is officially retired from in-ring competition. You kind of were there when he was coming up. Do you have a good Triple H memory or a match that you really liked working with him, or like a moment where you kind of realized, like, oh, this guy has it and is going to have the Hall of Fame career he has?
From the very first time I met him, his demeanor, I think that's the best way to say it. His demeanor as a young 20-something-year-old man was different. He took the business super, super serious. And, I guess you could say I was raised around a generation of, 70s, early 80s. I'm not that old, but, I got in the dressing room. First time I was in the dressing room was 82 or 83 as a kid, as a junior high kid. But, my first match was 86. So being around those dressing rooms with that, you had a lot of, blowing and going, whether it's Austin Idol or Tommy Rich or I mean, a young Paul Heyman, or I could go on and on the list of names, but, you know, first time I met Paul, super serious, student of the game. Look, great personality, funny sense of humor, dry at times, just damn hilarious. But he always had the mindset of dead set on business. And so that set him apart, which I always respected. At times, you know, I was raised that way. My grandmother was all about business. My dad was all about business. I just think my natural personality is, I like to joke around and have fun and all that. When it's time to do business, it's time to do business. But I always really, really respected that out of Paul.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Jeff, what is one of your favorite moments from TNA, like pre-Spike TV?
Pre-Spike TV? Wow. I guess when Puppet pulled a gun on me. No, I'm kidding. No, I tell you what, in the Asylum, those shows, 2 hours, there are so many hidden gems. It was obviously a small audience, pay-per-view only. It just wasn't, you know, you know, we weren't on cable television. There are some matches that come from the Asylum, and I could probably talk quite a while, whether I was producing them or whether I was in the ring. I mean, a young AJ Styles with that kind of athletic ability, and he really wasn't that seasoned, but man, his, pardon the pun, but his phenomenal talent, and I'll say his phenomenal athletic talent. There are some AJ style matches, whether it was my opponent, maybe my partner, or maybe I was executive producing it. Just those Asylum matches, there's a lot of fun one. And then one that goes without saying, the Raven series of matches, it was just the right time, the right place. And we built and built and built for that. And, you know, a weekly episodic pay-per-view, but, you know, they were lined up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and the building was full 90 minutes before showtime. And it's like, okay, they came to see this.
Nick had a great question that I thought was great, because I don't think people realize how important this is, because I have seen pushes begin and die off this. What is the secret to a good working punch?
Wow. Why? So you're asking, why is it important?
Yeah, just because people, I think when you watch a match now, there's flips and all these things. They don't understand the gravity of a punch.
To this day, guys, it amazes me, the talent. Not that if you throw a bad punch, why are you throwing it? It's mind-boggling. It's almost like playing a basketball game and not being able to dribble, in my opinion. It's such a basic, but it is the transition, because at the end of the day, you know, not to create rocket science here, it's good versus evil. We're going to get in the ring, 2 guys, one guy's 10 on one side, one guy, you're going to fight. So if you're going to fight, you're going to do something that at least simulates that you're hurting the guy. And if you can't do one move, just don't do it. So but you know, I was raised that way. I had maybe the very best teacher in Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler is the one that would give little nuances. But look, by osmosis, you watch his punch versus other guys' punches, and look, Dundee could throw a good short jab. Dutch could throw a pretty good punch. There were guys that learned it, but I really studied Lawler. And to me, it is a good punch. It's a lot more than just the right hand. The left hand's involved, the shoulders are involved, the hips are involved. Actually, both legs are involved. It's a complete motion. Boy, we got granular, Chris. Good question, but I do think it is overlooked in the fact that it's not just swinging the arm.
Hey, I've been there where a lot of your favorite wrestlers that come up to the main roster, if somebody sees if someone seems like they can't break an egg with a punch, they are not getting a push.
That's it. It's over. Game, set, match.
Yeah. So quickly, and if we gotta call it. Two final questions. One, a person who had a major impact on my career at WWE, probably one of the 2 or 3 people. Good friend of yours, Brian James, the Road Dogg. Everyone knows why he was so great on camera. Why is he so great behind the scenes?
When you really drill down with Road Dogg, he's second generation. His father, very sharp mind, electric personality. But peel everything back. Brian has a gift. He has a creative gift that's been bestowed upon him from God or the higher power. You know, some folks can sing, some can't. Some folks can draw, some can't. Some people can cook, some people can't. There's just some talents that just innately come. Brian has a very creative brain, and he has the ability to step back. And Chris, I'm sure you've witnessed this, and to see a big picture. If you have the ability to step back and see a vision as opposed to a real micro look, Brian has that. And I have always, I mean, from the day that he became my roadie, he saw a bigger picture, and let's do this. And he's just got a real creative brain.
Yeah, I think I'm biased because I like him a lot, but I think it's hard to find anybody better who could put a wrestling show on than Brian James. And finally, because you gotta get going, do you have a match that you look back fondly on, or a favorite match more than any other, or is there?
Oh, I always get asked that, but whether it was, I mean, Shawn Michaels, and we talked about Scott Hall off the top. My early matches with Jerry Lawler and the Moondogs, Kurt Angle matches. You know, there's a lot of matches that I had with Kurt that at that stage of my career, I wasn't expecting to have those of hard hitting, those length, those high profile. That body of work I'm super proud of. So it's hard to name one. The matches I had when I was 19 years old against Kurt Hennig, I look back on that and I'm like, man, Kurt was great. He led a kid that didn't know a damn thing what was going on to a pretty good match. So it's hard to name one, Chris.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jeff, it's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for coming on. As much fun as it was asking you some questions, I think it's more important that you came on. Chris, again, making awareness for such an important cause. Jeff, it's been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Chris, pal, let's continue to stay in touch, my man.
Yeah. I always love talking to you, Jeff. You're the man.
All right. You guys have a great day. LLS, if you're listening to this, the link will be there.
Yes.
Do what you can. It is one of the greatest organizations that really, wrestling doesn't change lives. Well, it can, but LLS literally changes and saves lives. So I appreciate everybody listening today. Thanks, guys.